Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy Golden Falls, Golden What Ifs, whatever you want to call me, and I am back. Yes, I am a little bit late. I'm sorry about that. Not only for the video today, but also because I didn't have a video last game, or last day. I don't know why I said last game. I didn't have a video yesterday. Sorry about that. Some things happened, and the video got messed up. My mic was all weird, and I was like, you know what? I don't really want to post this, so I'm re-recording it. I gotta make sure that, my mic isn't all messed up every time I record, but hey, we're here for it either way. I am back though with a brand new Tanjiro What If Tanjiro had godly ice breathing. And as always, if you guys enjoy, please show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below. Check the links in the description for the Spotify, the Discord, and also the membership. That is a mouthful, I'm gonna be honest with you, but it's all good. Now, with all that said, I don't want to waste much more of your time because I want to get right into it. So let's get it. Tanjiro Kamado is your normal, typical type of kid. But the difference is he's always had an affinity with the weather. Now, it seems odd, but mostly the weather intertwining with ice and snow. It's very interesting for Tanjiro, but he would always be out in the snow, always building some crazy kind of snow globe-like areas or even crazy things outside, and the family would think that this is pretty awesome. He would even be able to utilize some of the snow, creating ice and creating this or creating that, and everybody would be impressed by this, but they didn't think that much of it. Even his mother didn't think a ton about what Tanjiro could do, thinking more along the lines of he's just a creative kid and somebody who really enjoys helping out as much as possible. And this is proven day in and day out when he goes on to help his family with many different things. That includes his little trip, and this would be a trip to obviously the village the village that he would sell coal to. He would take the coal, make sure he heads down there, and basically sells all this coal so that he can have something nice for the end of the year for his family. Now, in this journey though, he would have no clue that something was going to happen. That's something that would be unexcusable, something that he would have no idea would even occur would eventually occur. And that would be the death of his entire family, or the expiration date of most of his family. After being at the village, he would eventually try to head up the mountain, but he would be told by basically an old man that it's not safe. You shouldn't go up there, at least not right now, not on your own, and stuff like that, which is honestly makes sense. I mean, you don't want to just straight up go up a mountain on your own and do something stupid, and get hurt. Of course, he doesn't want anybody doing that. And so Tanjiro listens. He's like, you know what? I won't do that. I'll stay here for the night. And that's exactly what Tanjiro does. Stays there for the night, stays there for now. And then eventually he would decide the next morning to head up the mountain. But this is when he would smell something he would never want to smell. And that is blood. He would smell blood from his entire family, and it would be insane. It would be terrifying, and it would be something that he never thought he would have to go through. But the reality is he's going through it right now. He smells the blood. He smells everything that's happening, and he realizes that his little sister by the name of Nezuko is the only one alive. So he makes a choice. He grabs Nezuko and tries to run off with her and get her to safety, but then Nezuko wakes up as a demon and pushes him down basically a mountain of some sort into snow, basically, and trying to basically attack him. As she's trying to attack him over and over and over again, Giyu Tomioka, or a demon slayer, would come out of nowhere to save him, even threatening to end his sister. But Tanjiro would tell him not to. Please don't, that's my sister, blah blah blah. And he would basically tell Tanjiro, don't do anything dumb, this is a demon and blah blah blah. And that's the reality of it. He has to make a choice here, and Tanjiro would eventually try to save his sister, pulling out all of the stops, even throwing his axe into the air and trying to attack Giyu Tomioka. And as he does this, he would even start making it so the ice or the snow around him would begin to cover his feet without him knowing, and Tanjiro doesn't even know how he's doing it in the first place. And as Giyu dodges Tanjiro's attack, knocking him out, he would try to dodge the axe that's coming his way, and he would barely get out of the way, barely dodging his head, as he can tell his feet, he can no longer move them. He would be shocked to see this, and he would smack his feet, or his sword on the ice on his feet, destroying the ice. And as he does this, he doesn't believe it. I mean, how did Tanjiro do that? What did he do? How did he do it in the first place? But he doesn't know for sure. He doesn't know for an absolute certainty how he was able to do it, or, if it was really specifically him that did it in the first place. But with all that said, Giyu makes his choice. He figures out what he has to do, and he decides that he's going to knock out both Tanjiro and Nezuko, and then tell them after the fact what they need to do. And that is to send them to Urokodaki and get Nezuko out of the sun ASAP. And he explains why, explains some certain circumstances, and this leads to Tanjiro taking Nezuko and leaving to Urokodaki's, or the mountain that Urokodaki is currently at. But before he can get there, he actually has an encounter with the Temple Demon. A demon that is, don't get me wrong, pretty damn powerful, but nowhere near as strong as someone like Giyu Tomioka. And quickly, when Tanjiro begins to accidentally utilize his ice powers once again, or this some sort of pseudo-ice breathing, it seems like it's a shock factor for him, or for at least for Tanjiro, but also for the demon, freezing the demon entirely. And Tanjiro stares at him, completely covered in ice, and wondering, how did he do that? And Urokodaki walks up and thinks the same thing, and even asks him, how did he do that? Urokodaki would walk over to the demon, and he would push it over as it would shatter into ice, not needing the sun, but only needing the ice that would surround the demon to shatter it to glass itself. As if it was glass and shattered entirely, Tanjiro would kill the demon with the ice he basically was able to use. And, well, let's just say it was a pretty damn high shock factor, especially with the one and only Urokodaki, wondering how the hell he even did that in the first place. But with all that said, with all that somewhat figured out, Urokodaki knows that they need to somehow hone in on the powers that is being basically portrayed by Tanjiro himself. They need to somehow figure out more. They need to somehow learn more, but also really instate it in what they're doing. Really instate it in what's happening. Because at the end of the day, these powers that he's showing might just bring him to a totally different level. So they begin training. We're talking for months, maybe even closer to a year, maybe a year and a half, and they're training like absolute hell. Now, this would include water breathing training and concentration breathing training, but Urokodaki would quickly realize that they need to focus on ice breathing itself. Whatever he's able to utilize, they need to focus on that. So that's what they do, focusing on something that is kind of this basic version of it. Now, for starters, he tells him, all we want to do is figure out the 3 first forms that you have. Yes, you could have plenty. You could come up with as many as you want, up to, 9, 10, 15, as many as you want. But let's focus on the first 3. He wants to teach Tanjiro the principles, and he knows that really upping the idea of creating these different forms will make for things to be even more difficult. So over the long course of time, he comes up with 3 different forms. First form, Eternal Frostfang. Second form, Glacial Mirage Dance, kind of taking a flurry aspect of this, something he remembered from his father. And then the last thing, something that he did to that demon by accident, Crystal Coffin Bloom. Something that allowed him to basically parry the demon and freeze him entirely, turning the ice itself into a coffin, and it's a deadly frozen like prison that would instantly defeat a demon. And he continues to train not only with Urokodaki, but the spirits of Sabito and Makomo, learning as much as he possibly can. And given that he's able to actually focus in on ice breathing itself, or kind of godly ice breathing, this god level of a version of breathing style, he's able to even get better at concentration breathing, and even start learning the aspects of total concentration breathing constant. Now, With all that said, he does have his preparations ready for the future, and in terms of the boulder, he smacks the boulder in half very easily, even being able to shatter it into literal pieces. Sending him to the final selection is a pretty obvious next step for Urokodaki, sending him there, and as he waits, and as Urokodaki waits patiently for Tanjiro to come back, he would have hope that Tanjiro will be able to slay the demons within. And that's exactly what Tanjiro can do. I mean, he starts butchering demon after creature, destroying every last one of them. And that would include the hand demon that would be threatening other demon slayers as well. The hand demon, unable to even interact and understand how he's able to utilize these attacks. And since the hand demon is somewhat weaker than your typical, like if you really progressed further in, he's not insanely powerful compared to the other demons Tanjiro may fight. And since Tanjiro has exceeded in expectation so much, he lands a blow not to the neck of the demon, but just to a random body part, as the ice would begin to climb and the ice would begin to basically evolve all around him. And as it revolves around him, eventually it would cover him entirely, and one foul swoop would shatter the hand demon immediately. And this would shock everyone around, but Tanjiro would make it so a lot of these demon slayers are safe and save a ton of them so that they are not basically in danger at all. This would lead them to finishing the final exam and Tanjiro picking up his own Nichiren ore, but him also stopping someone by the name of Genya from hurting a little, well, it looks like a little girl, but obviously we know it's not, that is running the final exam. Tanjiro even shows a little bit of that ice power, as the ice would cover Genya's arm just a little bit, and Genya would be in complete and utter shock as Tanjiro would get rid of it as Genya stands down. But he would grab the ore, and there's some people there that are very curious about Tanjiro, especially one girl by the name of Kanao. But he leaves before anything else could even be said, even be brought up, and he meets back up with Urokodaki with an awakened Nezuko, and they would have a choice to be made, and a choice to embark on his first mission right when he gets his Nichiren blade, his blade that is made to kill demons, only making his ability to kill demons even higher and more likely in almost every single regard. And as all this is insinuating, and as all this is happening, he would go off and embark with Nezuko in a box to his first actual mission against the Swamp Demon. He learns about the Swamp Demon from Kazumi, and he learns about what's happening, what's going on, and how they're being kind of attacked slash brought into like this weird area. And Tanjiro's ready for it. I mean, he is ready for anything. So when he finally catches where the demon is coming from, one little touch of the sword, literally one tiny touch of the sword, the demon slows down so drastically, and Tanjiro immediately would go into his first form, looking for the kill shot immediately and as quick as possible. First form, Eternal Frost Fang. And he would immediately and swiftly pierce a thrust through the demon, spiraling this ice that is freezing it to a certain extent and freezing at the touch. As he immediately would get the sword out of the demon, he would go through multiple thrusts as well, leaving these trails of chilling and frost all around as he's slicing through the demon over and over again, leading to the demon actually not being able to regenerate at all and leading to it being beheaded. And a realization will go from Tanjiro that his ice slows down demon regeneration drastically, more than he could possibly imagine, realizing that this right here is something that is going to benefit him far longer than he could possibly even imagine. And as he is defeated, yes, he doesn't get anything, for anybody to kind of think about, and like maybe like a trinket or some sorts, but the defeat of the demon is good enough. And as he embarks on his next mission, which would be to investigate the city that never sleeps for the most part, it seems like he's going to run into somebody that he didn't expect to run into in the first place, and that is the demon that changed his whole family destroyed them and eliminated them and turned his sister into a demon, and that is Muzan. Muzan would go face to face with Tanjiro, and Tanjiro would grip his sword harder than you could imagine, thinking to himself, should I go for the blow now? He thinks about it, touching the sword on the ground as ice would even appear, but he would realize there's too many people around, too many people to deal with, and he decides that he's not going to do anything else but wait. He has to wait. Muzan would turn a man into a demon as Tanjiro would swoop in and defeat him quickly, and he would sheath his sword, telling Muzan that soon he will be next. Muzan would look pissed, absolutely irritated, wondering what this kid really thinks of him, but also wondering if this kid really thinks that he's strong, if he's powerful, and he'll show him what power truly means. And Tanjiro would eventually meet up with Yushiro and Lady Tamayao, talking about what they want to do, what's going to happen, and what he would like, and that is mostly to get his sister to be cured. He wants his sister to be normal once again. He loves his sister, and honestly, would do anything for her, but he wants her to no longer be a demon. In which Lady Tamayao and Yushiro hear him completely out, and tell him that if they want to get a cure for her, they're gonna need basically the blood of demons, or blood of the 12 Kizuki, and in doing so, they should be able to research it more and more and eventually gain a cure. But before you know it, two demons by the name of Susamaru and Yahaba would come knocking on the door, and Tanjiro would basically meet them out there and look at them and tell them that they have one chance to leave. He knows who sent them. He knows who really wanted them to come here, and that they're trying to be in good favor with Muzan Kibutsushi. But he doesn't care. All he cares about is his family getting what they deserve and the justice they deserve. And none of this will matter one bit. Tanjiro keeps talking and talking as the demons stand there laughing at him, making fun of him. But before you could even react, ice would already be on them like glue. Immediately, one of them would try to get the ice off of them as quick as possible, but nothing would be working. Nothing would actually be doing a single thing. And Tanjiro tells them there is no escape. Demons don't break out of this ice so easily, and go ahead, chop off your limbs to save yourself. The regeneration will feel a bit chilling. And as he's doing this, they're panicking. They even cut off parts of their limbs. Yes, cuts off part of their legs and try to save themselves, but it's too freaking late. They're surrounded by ice, a globe of some sorts, and or a crystal-like coffin. And Tanjiro tells them that what they'll feel is nothing. They will feel nothing, and honestly, that is gracious enough. But really, they deserve far more than what they're getting, but they're lucky that they won't be feeling the pain that he feels every single day, knowing that his family is not with him. He ends the demons almost instantaneously as they try their best to actually get to Tanjiro and actually destroy him. And there it is, the end. The end of what these demons are. And Lady Tamayao looks at Tanjiro in shock, but also in awe, wondering and thinking that maybe this kid is beyond their own imagination. Maybe he's something beyond anything they possibly know or knew in the first place. And this would lead to Tanjiro defeating them, getting the blood from them, and basically preparing himself to go on his very next mission and head off as soon as possible. They would thank him, they would help him out, do anything they possibly can to really help Tanjiro here. And Tanjiro would head off and eventually meet a yellow-haired fellow by the name of Zenitsu, crying about how all he wants is a wife. But of course, Tanjiro drags him away, pulls him toward basically doing this mission at a mansion, and tells him that they need to get this done right now. Save these little kids' brother and do what they possibly can to save everyone. They enter the mansion, And Tanjiro is immediately locked in to do whatever means necessary. Even running into a demon by the name of Kyogai, who actually used to be part of the 12 Kizuki. And Tanjiro, he speaks to him briefly and tells the kid that stands next to him to stay behind him. But he tells Kyogai that what he's going to get into is something he's not prepared for. Something that he doesn't understand. The demon would look at him and realize who he is, sensing all of the memories that once were there. But before he could even think about it, before he could even think that he knows about those memories, he sees the ground fully sheathed in what looks like water, but quickly would spike up into ice, covering him almost entirely, but immediately grabbing onto his arms. Tanjiro would tell him that he has drums all over his body. Honestly, it couldn't have been more obvious on what he wanted to do and what he was trying to do. Tanjiro would immediately start breathing, and all you could see is this cold mist covering the entirety of the room, making it so you can barely see through the room itself. Tanjiro would tell the kid to stay behind him because that's where it's going to be warm. In the area behind him, it will be warmer, and Kyogai tries his best to touch, even smack one of his literal drums, but he can't. He can't move. He can't feel anything, and he doesn't know what's happening. And as Tanjiro's doing this, Inosuke would come out of nowhere. He would drop from the ceiling, telling Tanjiro that that is his demon to kill. Tanjiro would look at him as he sprints toward the demon and shrug his shoulders, as Kyogai would get sliced into pieces by Inosuke, and Tanjiro would finish the job with the ice that is already surrounding him. And he would tell Inosuke, tell this random guy with a boar head, be like, you know what? That was pretty damn good. Impressive, actually. And he tries to basically tell Inosuke, like, oh, you did really good. But before you know it, Inosuke was already gone searching for another demon that he could smell not too far from here. Tanjiro would shrug his shoulders and help get the kid out of harm's way, and he actually ends up being outside of the mansion before anybody else, sitting right next to the box that has Nezuko inside of it. He watches as Zenitsu and Inosuke head out of the mansion, and Inosuke would immediately go for the box that has Nezuko in it. Tanjiro would tell him that he should make his decision more wisely, that his little sister is sitting in this box, and that yes, she is a demon, but she's still family. In which Inosuke would not hear this, as he would go to attack the box, and Tanjiro would grab him immediately by the arm, cover part of his arm in ice, and slam him on the ground, covering his feet and his arm in ice, making it so he can no longer move. And Tanjiro says that he has been defeated, and he should take that to heart and take that into consideration. And that's exactly what Inosuke does, saying that one day he's going to be even more powerful than Tanjiro himself, or at least Banjiro himself, which he obviously would say his name wrong, Inosuke. But of course, Tanjiro would tell him that they could all head together and go on to their next missions. But before you know it, they would arrive at a smaller house that an old woman is actually hosting and helping out fellow demon slayers or people that eventually arrive. They get a nice meal, some rest, and some time basically to recollect themselves. And after recollecting and after relaxing just for a little bit, now they would be able to move on to what's next. And that is Mount Natagumo. And initially, Zenitsu would refuse to go up into the mountains, and Tanjiro and Inosuke would go on without him, with Nezuko still sitting in the box beside or on the back of Tanjiro. But Tanjiro and Inosuke would first discover the demon slayers that are basically being puppeted by a person that is further away, or by a demon that is further away. So they have to definitely make sure that they can handle or deal with whatever is happening as soon as possible. So that's exactly what they're going to do. Facing off with these Demon Slayer puppets, even having a run-in with another demon that Tanjiro seems to think is very, very strong compared to these others that he is kind of smelling. but also takes on the likes of a Mother Spider Demon's doll, as Inosuke and Tanjiro have to plan itself to destroy this doll, because this doll is not going to be defeated so easily. And Tanjiro and Inosuke come up with a plan where they can slice through half, if not multiple parts of the body of this demon's doll, and destroy it with the help of the ice that would weaken the regeneration and also the overall kind of skin of the demon, leading to Tanjiro and Inosuke finally facing off with this Mother Spider Demon. But Tanjiro would try to talk to her first, telling her and asking her, don't hurt these other demon slayers. Don't do it. Don't be horrible. Don't be a bad person. But eventually she would do just that. And Tanjiro, before she even could notice, would have put ice on the webbing that she is sending out, immediately heading toward her and covering her entirely. And Tanjiro tells her that he gave her an out, gave her a chance, gave her a warning, but she didn't listen. But he can tell that she does this from fear, does this because she's scared and doesn't understand, and immediately will tell her that he's been working on something that many people don't really know about at all, and he's been training with it. And he says, godly ice breathing 7th form. And he says, divine cry of a winter's end. And as he does this, the entire area itself would cover in ice, and shards would come all around, and the shards would immediately encapsulate her entirely, as if she's in an actual shard, not a prison of some sorts. And then snow would begin raining down on top of her, and slowly but surely the shard would dissipate into nothingness, and she wouldn't feel a single, not the slightest bit of pain, but it would be beautiful, but fatal at the same time. Tanjiro would do this, and Inosuke would be in shock, thinking that is something that he's never seen before. And Tanjiro says, well, let's keep it that way, or keep it in a way that we don't talk about it much, because that is his 7th form, and he kind of skipped over some aspects of his own powers to get to it. And as they would continue on, and Inosuke, would continue yapping about, what the powers are and what he could do and blah, 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 Tanjiro would not be kind of paying attention to an eventual smack of a father spider demon that he would have no idea was right there, and he would get smacked over and he would get sent flying towards 2 other demons. Tanjiro being separated from Inosuke, he hopes that Inosuke can handle his own business, but he doesn't know for sure. Discovering Rui and the daughter spider demon, and Rui is berating her, treating her like garbage, saying this, saying that, saying horrible, horrible things. And Tanjiro stands there saying there's no place for you to treat your sister like that in general. And immediately he would say that he only treats those who are exceptional, those who are useful, with respect and with love and with care. Now, he wonders, is the sister in that box the demon? The same, or the one just like that? Is the one inside that box someone to respect, someone to care for, someone to love? And he wonders with Tanjiro, why would you bring her along with you if she wasn't worth protecting? In which Tanjiro would look at him very, very, very locked in, or very angrily, and it's obvious what he's saying. And let's just say Rui says right off the bat that he knew already that she was worth keeping alive. That means she's perfect for his family. And immediately a fight would break out, and Tanjiro would pull out every stop you could think of, utilizing his full capabilities of his ice or godly ice breathing powers, using forms that would catch Rui off guard on multiple occasions. And eventually he would throw out those strings, throw out those kind of stringy like things, and Tanjiro would look for an opening to cover him in ice entirely, slowing down the battlefield and even slowing down the regeneration entirely. even Nezuko jumps in to help, as she would kind of help and fight alongside him, but would even get caught up and hurt through kind of the means of Rui's kind of strings, or spider-like strings, you could even call them. And as she's covered in them entirely, she could feel them rip through her, and her own blood would get on the strings themselves. And Nezuko would slightly have her eyes grow wide as she would reach her hand out and close her fist, as ice would appear from her own blood and would immediately head toward Rui. This would shock Tanjiro. He didn't know this was even possible. He didn't know that she could do this, but now he does. Nezuko has gifted an opportunity to Tanjiro, and he does not let it go to waste. Going head first immediately, going to slice the neck off of Rui, but also letting the ice cover him entirely. Tanjiro would strike through Rui, striking through his neck, but as he does so, he can feel the flames that were embedded within his father's dances, as well as he embeds, or as he kind of shows off, the second form once again, Glacial Mirage Dance, showing off both ice and flames from the sun at the same time, changing Nezuko's powers from just ice to ice and fire at the same time, leading to obviously Rui being unable to even heal, not even the slightest bit, and Tanjiro slicing him clean, or his head clean off, in one fell swoop, and ending it in one blow, as he would shatter to pieces, unable to regenerate and survive once again. And as this happens, Gyu would show up, and Gyu would be in shock, thinking this kid, I mean, he really showed up and stood up to the plate. And on top of that, he exceeded every single expectation that he thought in the first place. But the fighting is not over just yet, because immediately Shinobu and Kanao would come striking through to kill, or to end Nezuko. But Tanjiro and Gyu would stop them in their tracks, telling them to stop, that she's not a normal demon, that she's like one of them, she's his sister, in which they still don't listen, forcing Tanjiro to cover the area in ice, and they slip once again and fall right on their backs, and Tanjiro would tell Nezuko to run. And after a little bit of a back and forth, finally the crows would call once again, and they would say to leave Tanjiro and Nezuko alive and to bring them in to the butterfly mansion. And after a long talking to, and we mean a long journey and then a long talking to, and with, him tied up with ropes, he would listen and be trialed by the Hashira themselves, leading to even the Wind Hashira attacking the box of Nezuko, and Tanjiro going haywire, breaking through his restrainments and fighting the Wind Hashira as well. But with Ubuyashiki arriving, and with his final arrival, and him telling everybody that it seems that Urokodaki and Gyu and Tanjiro are willing to basically commit Sambuku if Nezuko does anything other than being kind of like human or like a demon slayer, then it seems like most of the Hashira begin to get on board, especially after Saname, the Wind Hashira, fails to discredit Nezuko by making it so that she wants to devour his blood. But of course that fails, and Tanjiro begins to embark on his own journey through the Butterfly Mansion and his rehabilitation to get stronger than he ever has before. And with Inosuke, with Zenitsu, and with his strength continuously rising as they fight and as they train, it seems like he's preparing for something. And that preparation is to speak with the Flame Hashira known as Rengoku. So that's going to take them to a train known as the Mugen Train, and this train will change their lives forever, because the Hashira known as Rengoku may be smiling, may be happy, and may be one of the nicest people you'll ever meet, but at the same time, they're going to have to be able to deal with very, very powerful demons and a very, very powerful demon that will eventually arrive. First, they deal with the train, and next, they'll have to deal with something massively unknown. But for now, that's where we're going to end this part of What If Tanjiro Had Godly Ice Breathing. And if you enjoyed, show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, and leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, if you did, show some love to the video. Now, with all that said, hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.